Hello, and welcome to this episode of Cheers. That's one woman's opinion. I am your host, Carolyn Mills. I'm actually recording this episode today on my 45th birthday. And today we'll be looking at Cheers, Season 1, Episode 2, Sam's Women. This episode was directed by James Burrows. It was written by Glenn Charles, Les Charles, James Burrows, and Earl Pomerantz. Pomerantz passed away in 2020. The cause was undisclosed. The guest cast for this episode: Donnelly Rhodes as Leo. Rhodes passed away in 2018 from cancer. Donna McKechnie as Deborah. Keenan Ivory Waynes as customer number 1. Jack Knight as Jack. Angela Ames as Brandy. Ames passed away in 1988 from heart failure. John Ratzenberger as Cliff Clavin. In the cold opening, Diane gives an order to the wrong table. She then asks the customers to switch to save her a few steps, and the customers then switch tables. One of these customers, who actually tells her that the drinks belong to their table, was Keenan Ivory Waynes in his very first television appearance. He had done one movie before that, a minor role, but this was his first TV appearance. The theme song, Where Everybody Knows Your Name, plays. A man comes into the bar looking for Gus. Norm says that Gus was the owner 2 owners ago. Coach offers to help the man, who says he came all the way from Seattle to talk to Gus about this problem he has. The man, who is a white man, tells Coach that his son brought home his fiancée, who is black. Coach says, "And your son's not?" Norm tells Coach, "Get Gus." Norm sees the legs of a woman up on street level and gets excited. He sees she's coming down the steps to the bar and becomes even more excited. Diane can't believe how he's acting until she sees the woman. Carla tells everyone that once Sam sees her, that none of them will have a chance. She goes over to Sam's office door and knocks on it, and he immediately goes over to pick up the woman. He suggests a movie, and Norm says there's a new Australian movie playing. She says no because she hates subtitles. It was 1982. I wonder what movie that was. If anybody knows, feel free to message me or send me an email or contact me on any of the other medias. And let me know what movie might have been out in 1982 with an Australian subtitle. Diane laughs, and Sam says he wants to talk to her in the pool room. He asks the woman to wait and what her name is. She says it's Brandy with 2 E's. In the pool room, Sam asks Diane what she was doing, and she immediately imitates Brandy, saying, "I love to laugh." He says that Diane thinks Brandy is dumb. Diane denies, and Sam replies, "Oh, Diane, she's a tree stump." Carla comes into the pool room to tell Sam that Brandy says she's getting a little itsy. The Cliff and another guy are playing pool in the bar room. That might have actually been the other guy might have been Jack, but I'm not sure because I don't think they actually mentioned my name. But they're in the pool room. Nobody came in the pool room when Sam and Diane came in, so they were already there. And at one point, they've been trying to get Diane to go get them a beer, and the guy says he wants a beer with 2 E's, making reference to Brandy's name. However, they weren't there when Brandy gave her name, so I'm not sure how they know this to make this joke. So that was kind of strange, I thought. It was funny. The joke was funny, but the fact that he used it made no sense to me. Diane tells Sam that he can do better than Brandy, but Sam says he doesn't want to do better. He goes back to the bar room, and Brandy is gone. He warns Diane not to look like she's enjoying it. The man from earlier, we learned his name is Leo, returns to see if Coach found Gus. At some point off camera, not Gus, Leo and Coach must have introduced themselves because, as far as I know, unless I missed it, Leo does not introduce himself on the screen. but somehow we know his name is Leo because Coach refers to him by name. Coach says Gus can't help Leo because he died. And this is interesting because in season 11, Gus O'Malley comes to the bar and says he used to own the bar, and then Sam has him work behind the scenes. We'll discuss that when we get to season 11. So that would mean this statement here that Gus is dead, either Coach misunderstood and he's not dead. There are two Gus's that once owned Cheers, or Gus has randomly come back from the dead to serve drinks 11 years later. I'm not sure what it is, but that's just an interesting little thing that was noticed about Gus. But this Gus doesn't say his last name, so we don't know if it's O'Malley or if it's somebody else. Actually, this Gus doesn't say anything because he's dead. So Leo doesn't know what he'll do without Gus, and Coach demands Leo tells him his problem. Coach is determined to understand and thinks that the problem is a race difference. He tells Leo that it's a problem of communication. He asks Leo what his son's name is, and Leo tells him Ron. He then tells him that Ron's fiance's name is Rick. Coach thinks about this for a minute. Ron, Rick. Then he tells Leo, if you're that unhappy about it, just throw him out and tell him you never want to see him again. Leo says he can't do that because he loves his son. Then he concluded that Coach is telling him if he can't accept his son, he'll lose him. Coach says, oh, that's good. Leo leaves. Everyone's cheering Coach for doing such a great job at figuring this out. And it's so funny because Coach has no idea what he even did. Leo just kind of guessed what Coach might have been talking about, even though Coach was not talking about that. But it worked out for Leo because his problem had been solved. Cliff asks where Sam is. Sam is out once again with another date. Diane says Sam is overcompensating for feelings of inadequacy. Here we see how Diane is so much different than the rest of the bar because most of the bar, if not all, probably don't even know what the words overcompensating and inadequacy mean, although a lot of them have both issues going on. But she rolls these words off like she just expects people to understand what she's saying. And sometimes they do, sometimes they figure it out, and sometimes they just humor her. So the guys, they look up to Sam because of all the women that he dates. We know, I don't know if we know yet, but we'll find out, of course, Norm is married to Vera. Cliff is pretty much married to his job as a postal worker. Carla works at the bar, and we know she's divorced because she's already talked about it. But she's not one of the guys. She is one of the guys, but she's not a guy. To be more specific. But she thinks the world of Sam. And yet they all look up to Sam. Not Coach. Norm says in a later episode, somewhere down the line, that they've all lived vicariously through him. Carla tells them that dating gorgeous women have drawbacks, such as you can't go to a hockey game because she might get hit by a puck. I think this is interesting because one, I've never actually seen anybody get hit by a puck. I've only been to a few hockey games. They're better live than on TV. But at the same time, I don't imagine anybody, beautiful or not, would want to be hit by a puck. Those things would probably hurt, from what I understand. Sam comes in with Deborah. Sam says they were at a symphony, Mozart. When Deborah leaves, Diane sees she left a program on the table. It's 3 years old. Deborah confesses they went to see Star Wars again. Sam actually says before this that they didn't come straight from the movies, or straight from the symphony. Sam warns Diane not to say anything, goes to the pool room. Diane asks Carla if Sam has ever had a relationship with an intelligent woman. A real relationship, that is. Carla says that Deborah is the best she's seen, and Diane asks about Sam's ex-wife. Carla explains Deborah was his ex-wife. So we learned more about Sam. The first episode we learned he was an alcoholic because he talks about betting his elbow too much. And now we learned he was married. Which obviously he still talks to his wife, although this is the only time that his ex-wife is seen in the 11 years. She's mentioned a couple times, I think. I know with one of the episodes of Rebecca, Rebecca says you were married. Um, Sam says, and then she repeats that he's married. So it has been referenced, but pretty much it's been forgotten. Diane follows Sam after talking to Carla. Carla pictures a headline paper in her head and she says, blonde, blonde chick killed in billiard accident, which Carla loves the idea of Sam killing Diane because right from the start, in the very first episode, she makes a comment, how long has the Limp Convention been in town? And right through the whole time, she just despises Diane. She says Sam wanted to prove to her that she can date smart women. Sam tells her that he used to date gorgeous, fun women and had a lot of fun doing it. But now, because of Diane, all he can think about is how dumb they are. She tells Sam that it would be hard for him to date a really intelligent woman because they would see right through his BS a mile away. This is also a funny line to me because he just went out with Deborah, and according to Carlos, she's relatively intelligent. Um, and of course, later Diane herself is going to date Sam. So it's kind of funny to me when she comments about this, but Sam will get her as we'll see. Sam says he's never seen an intelligent woman he'd want to date, and Diane lets him know that that is a very good thing. Back in the bar room, Diane puts an order in, and Sam apologizes to her. If someone could explain this to me, I'd be really grateful because I have no idea why Sam's apologizing. Diane insults his first date. Well, the woman he's supposed to date there, Brandy, because of how dumb she is, even though she won't come out and say she's dumb, and Sam that says she's dumb. And then she points out about Deborah having the wrong program 3 years from 3 years ago, which kind of makes it look bad for Sam again. And then she tells Sam that he's too dumb to date anybody intelligent. And that his BS would not work with them. So all she does is insult Sam, and Sam is apologizing to her. I'm not sure what Sam did that he's apologizing for. So if somebody could enlighten me on that, I would greatly appreciate it. Again, feel free to email me. I'll be giving all that information out later. Of course, you can also comment right on this podcast. And there's other places too. He then says that he noticed her eyes. Diane asks if something is wrong with her eyes. And he says that he's just never seen that color before. Then he tells her about a time he was skiing up at Stowe. And during the sunrise, the sky was a beautiful color they'd never seen before or since, until he saw Diane's eyes. Sam says, "When at work, huh?" Diane's almost speechless. "What?" Sam says, "An intelligent woman would have seen right through that." Diane comes back to reality. Oh, in a minute. Trying to cover up, of course, obviously Sam was able to get his BS through her after all. I gave this episode 3.5 beer nuts out of 5. I really enjoyed this episode. I didn't give it quite as high as the last episode. I didn't think it was quite as good, but I still really enjoyed it. Once again, Shelley Long was awesome in this episode. Her comic timing is impeccable, which we'll see when we do the best lines. And she's definitely the MVP of this episode. It's funny because when I first started watching the show in 1989, Kirstie Alley was already in the cast. In fact, the reason I started watching Cheers is because I saw Kirstie Alley in Look Who's Talking. I then started watching Cheers because I saw her in an episode, and I was like, "That's her, that's her." I was all excited because she was one of my favorite actresses. Probably my favorite actress. Probably was my favorite actress at that point. And she's definitely in the top still. And then I had developed a crush on Ted Danson, so then I was totally hooked on the show. And because I liked Rebecca so much, because I liked Kirstie Alley, I just did not like Shelley Long. Didn't want to watch the Diane episodes, but then I was like, "Well, I'm going to watch the Diane episodes because I need to watch all of the episodes because of the rest of the cast." But it took me a while, and then I started realizing, you know, You can like Diane and Rebecca. And I don't think a lot of people get that because there's this debate. Do you like Diane or Rebecca? And you don't hear it as much with Coach and Woody. People are like, okay, we like Coach and Woody. But it's with Diane, you can either like Diane or Rebecca. Like they can't be both liked. And I don't really get that anymore because I've actually realized how amazingly talented Shelley Long is. And I love watching all the episodes. So my favorite line for this episode, the best line, was after Sam explains that he's never met an intelligent woman he'd want to date. Diane says, on behalf of the intelligent women around the world, may I just say, classic. My runner-up for favorite line, when Diana's talking to Norm and the other guys about Brandy as she's coming in. No, sorry, it's after she leaves. She's talking to him. She says, what, after you've had as much sex for as long as you wanted, what would you do then? Norm replies, I'd help the poor. Here's a little known fact. When Brandy says that she doesn't want to see an Australian film because of subtitles, people laugh because, of course, in Australia they speak English, so they're thinking, why would you have subtitles? So it just makes Brandy look even dumber. However, in both the United States and in the UK, it's common for Britain and America, Britons and Americans to sometimes use subtitles with Australian films because the Australian accent is so thick that it's actually hard to understand that, even though it's the same language. If you like, so that's it for this episode. If you like this episode, please like it and comment here on YouTube, and please subscribe to this channel. You can also join the podcast Facebook group, Cheers. That's One Woman's Opinion, and one is spelled O-N-E in this one. You can also find on Instagram at Cheers1 with the number 1, Woman's Opinion Podcast. You can also email me with comments, suggestions, or questions at Cheers1 Woman's Opinion Podcast at gmail.com. And thank you for listening to One Woman's Opinion. I'll see you next time.